All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the math class. Today's concept is distance formula. Notice that my email is still up here as well. If you still don't have my email address, guys, remember, it is very handy to have. Make sure you have it down on your notes or on a piece of paper where you can access to it quickly. In case you have a question, also to submit your work. Okay? So, before we start on the formula for today, I want to show you guys a little pre-math that goes to it. This way it's a lot more easier to understand once I give you the formula. All right, so let's get started. All right, guys, so before we start with today's concept, make sure you have paper and pencil ready. If you still don't have paper and pencil to take down notes, go ahead and pause the video. Once you have paper and pencil, we can start with the lesson. All right, guys, so now that you have paper and pencil, the first thing we're gonna need is coordinates. All right, coordinates is the location of where on a graph a point is located. Okay, so it's a set of two numbers. Okay, it's a pair of numbers, in other words. Usually the numbers are labeled x and y. Okay, remember in the alphabet x goes before y, so that's why since the first number is x, the second number is y. Now that you know what a coordinate is, we can actually start on the graphing part. All right, guys, so notice that I have a graph already done here. All right, so the thing we're looking for, remember, we're dealing with distance formulas. So we have a point A and we have a point B. We're gonna find the distance between those 2 points, okay? So first thing we need to do is find the coordinate, or in other words, find the location where the point is located at, okay? So let's find point A first. Remember, your horizontal line is your x-axis. If you remember to your coordinate, x is the first thing we need. So notice that on the x-axis is located on -5. So we can say -5, comma. Now we can find our y-axis. Remember, y-axis is the vertical line, okay? Notice that it's at +3. So we can say 3. Always label them x and y as well, because it makes it a lot easier to graph or plug in into the equation that we're going to use right now. Okay, so we can say the first one is x, the second one is y. Okay, so now that we find the first one, let's go on to the second one on B. Now let's find that coordinate. So notice that again, x-axis goes first. Remember, x-axis goes first. X-axis is 2, +2, right? Good. So it's +2, comma. Now we have to find the y-axis. Remember, y-axis is the up and down. So notice that it's on 7. So we can write a 7 in for our y. Again, what is the thing we usually might want to do before graphing them or before plugging them in? Good. We're going to have to label them, right? It makes it a lot easier. So we have x, y. Notice that we have 2 x's and 2 y's, okay? A on the alphabet goes before B, so we're going to say this is x1, this is y1, okay? Now, on the B, remember it's second place, right? So the alphabet is the second one. So it's going to be x2, y2. Now that we have our coordinates, we can actually start using the distance formula to find the distance from point A to point B. So let me give you the formula to begin with. All right, guys, so remember, On the graph, we had point A, we had point B. So point A was -5 on the x, 3 on the y, right? So remember, we always do what to them? We label them, right? It makes it a lot easier. So we have x, y. Now, on the other one, we do the same thing on point B. We label it x. We label it y. Remember, point A is always first, so this is going to be x1, y1. And your second point is going to be x2, y2. All right, now that we have it all labeled, we can actually all now start plugging it into the actual equation. The equation for distance is d equals radical, parentheses, x squared, or x2, minus x1, close parentheses, square, plus parentheses, y2, minus y1, close parentheses, square. If you need more time to write it down, go ahead and pause the video. Make sure you have everything we have on the board, on your notes. All right. So once you're done writing it down, go ahead and continue the video. All right. Now that you have everything on your notes, we can actually start plugging it into this equation. It looks kind of hard, I know. Now that we have it labeled, makes it a little easier to plug in. All we have to do is go by whatever it tells us to plug in, okay? So let's start off by we're doing the d, which is distance, equals radical. Remember, we're looking for x2, right? On these sets, do we have an x2? We do, right? It's up here, x2. We found it. It's on B. So it's a 2. So we do parentheses, 2. We keep the minus for now, okay? Minus. Now we're looking for our x1. Notice that on the first coordinate, we have an x1, which is -5. Remember, when it comes to two negatives, or for now, we're just going to leave it as it is, then we're going to combine them, okay? So for now, just write it as -5, close the parentheses, square, plus, let me make my little bracket on top a little longer, another set of parentheses. Now we're going to plug in the y's. So we have y2, right? Do we have y2 up here? We do, right? Which is 7. So we have 7. Again, we're going to keep the negative, minus y1, right? y1 is probably up here. So we know that is 3. Good. So we have 3 squared. Now that we have nothing but numbers, we can actually start combining them. So let's start by combining the first ones. Remember, don't forget the d equals the radical 2 minus -5. Meaning, when this happens, we have two negatives that are next to each other. They pretty much cancel each other out. Okay? So those two cancel out. It becomes a plus sign. So now we have 7. Okay? So we have 7, because 2 plus 5 is 7, right? 7 squared plus, now we're going to do the other side. 7 minus 3. So we have 7 minus 3. Remember, you can always use your hands. We have 7. All right. We have 7. We subtract 3. So 1, 2, 3. So we have 4. 4 is our answer, right? So we can say 4 squared. Now that we have that, now that we have 7 squared plus 4 squared, we can actually figure out the squaring. So, we have D equals radical 7 times 7. Remember, one of the things we need to know are some multiplications, because a lot of our math requires that. So, but if you don't know it, that's fine. Go ahead and use a calculator if you need to. So 7 times 7 is 49. Remember, we keep the plus in there. Plus, now we have 4 times 4, because remember, the number on top, the little 2, is telling us that it's the number 2 times, or the number itself 2 times. So 4 times 4 is 16. We're almost done, okay? So we have one more step to do. We have to combine them, okay? So we have, I ran out of the board here a little bit. So we're gonna do D equals radical 49 plus 16, all right? So remember, we can take off 1 from here to make it this 50 to 49. So now we have 50 plus 15. Makes it a lot easier to put together. So we have 65. Okay, 65. Now that we have that, the distance from one point to another is radical of 65. We're gonna leave it there for now. All right, guys, so notice that the answer was the distance between point A and point B was radical of 65. If it's not a perfect square root, leave it as it is, okay? Now, we're gonna get into your assignment for today. All right, guys, so here's today's assignment for you. We have 2 points. We have point A, which is at 3, 2, and then point B, which is at 6, 6. All right. Your assignment for today is, number 1, you have to label it, X and Y, each one of these coordinates. Number 2, you have to also graph both points. And number 3, you have to find the distance between both points, okay? If you have any questions, send me an email, okay? Also, remember, send a picture of your notes so I can make sure you're taking down notes. Remember, answer the questions as soon as you're done watching the video, okay? I'm gonna hold you to it. I'll be waiting for your email.